Welcome back. Thanks for joining. Today I want to talk about the difference between force fetch and hold conditioning and how we utilize both to get a nice clean delivery to hand with these dogs. Here we've got Napa. Napa is a 1-year-old Boykin Spaniel who's been in the training program for the last several months. She just went through this process and I've got her up here to show some examples between the two and how we got to where we are now. But first I want to go back, and before we start, I want to talk about, why do we force fetch and hold condition a dog? The natural drive for these guys is to run out and pick up a bumper or a bird and bring it back to you, and it's fun. Some dogs have a more natural hold than others. Some of them will drop it early on you, and that's okay if your puppy does that. When that starts coming around, that's when we want to start this process. Typically we try to start doing this around the 7-8 month window. That's normally when all of their adult canines are in. We don't have to worry about any teeth that are still trying to transition. So today with Napa, I've got her up on the on the table here. The reason that I like to use this table is it gets her around the same elevation as me. It allows me to get on a personal level with her so that I can kind of really control what we're doing here. You'll see behind her we've got some cable here that's been pre-tensioned with turnbuckles on each side. We've got a roller here so it rolls, and then we've got just a standard slip collar that's kind of keeping her up. If you don't have this and you don't have the ability to build a table like this, a picnic table works great. Anything you can get them elevated. Ideally, if you can get this type of rail system or something where they can walk back and forth, but you can still keep them controlled. Because sometimes when you start doing this, the dogs tend to panic a little bit, and it helps keeps them under control. So first I want to show you guys kind of the steps that I take. Napa's already been through this process, but I'm going to show you what you're going to do to help get your dog to get that nice clean hold. So for Napa here, what we did is we started with just a plain leather glove. And what we're doing is when you first start putting something in a dog's mouth, they're not going to like it typically. It's stressful, it scares them, they don't understand, so it's really important that you take it slow, you give them lots of positivity, and you show them that you're not there to hurt them, right? So I'm going to use this glove here. I'm just going to let her see. I'm going to pet her, let her know that it's there. Scratch her neck here. And I'm just going to slowly, just kind of taking my fingers, I'm going to open her mouth. Good. I'm going to slide it in between her jaws, just like that. Good. I'm going to pull her lips out from between the glove and her teeth. Good. I'm going to pet her. Good girl. If I feel her start to pull away, you're going to see my hands start kind of grabbing below. Good. Good. I'll give her a correction if she starts to back away. What's important here is, and you'll feel the dog start to relax. Napa's pretty relaxed. I'm going to relax my hand, as you see, and I'm going to tell her, good dog, good. What this is doing, this is allowing her to have something in her mouth that's really just not normal for her, and that's going to help us work up to bumpers and birds eventually. So, good. She's starting to bite a little bit. Good. Hold. Good. I'm going to reinforce hold. Good girl. Good. And then I'm going to release on dead. Dead. Good girl. Give her that scratch. Give her some love. That's what we want, right? So we're going to do that one more time. Fetch it up. Good. I'm opening her mouth, clearing her gums. Good girl. Very relaxed, very calm. Now keep in mind Napa's already been through this, so when you start your dog, typically you're going to have to work the glove for at least 3 to 5 days until this happens. A lot of times your dog may rip and try to pull away, and that's perfectly normal. Just remember positivity and patience. It'll come around, I promise. All right, so that's the glove. Next thing I'm going to do here, I've got a paint roller, right? So the reason I use a paint roller is when we're forcing something in a dog's mouth to try to kind of coming out outside that natural drive for the dog. I don't want to associate any negative issues or I don't want to take a bumper and try to associate any negativity towards that bumper. So we're going to use a paint roller. A paint roller is also good because it's really lightweight because it's hollow. It resembles the same size of a bumper, and then the wool or the fibers that are on the outside of the paint roller are really good, and it's comfortable in a dog's mouth. So for Napa, we get her attention, and just like what we did, with the glove, I'm going to say, fetch it up. Good, good. I'm going to get her gums out from under. I'm going to push up on the bottom of her chin to give her that support so she can't drop it. Good girl. Good. I'm going to sit there for a minute. Lots of praise and petting. And then dead. Good. remember and watch my hand. I had my hand supporting the bottom of her bottom jaw there. You know, on your dog, when you first start doing this, they're going to try to drop it and spit it out more than likely. That's perfectly normal, and it's going to happen. You as the trainer, one thing that you need to remember is that if they try to spit it out, the quicker you can catch it and get it back in their mouth, the better, right? So for Napa, I'm going to sit here and say, fetch it up, open her mouth, put it in there. Good. Give her that praise. Lots of love, lots of happiness. She's good. Good. We're going to support that chin. Good. And then slowly I'm going to start relieving pressure where she can drop her head. Yeah, hold it. Good girl, right? So see, now she's got a nice clean hold. She's holding it for me. Dead. When you can do that with your dog, try to take it away within about a second on the dead command. You don't want to do too long. You want to show that positivity of her releasing on the dead command. And we want to set the dog up for success, so remember that. So don't try to overdo it too soon. You know, typically I spend about a week or so on this paint roller. That's normally when I can get it to where she's got that nice clean hold. And that's a good dog, right? All right, so that's our paint roller here. Next on the list, I've got a cut bumper. This is a kind of a foam bumper. I've cut it down so the size is, relatively small and easy. It's hollow just like a paint roller, but it's important for these as I'm making the transition to a bumper that I don't want to have that rope. The rope has a tendency to get tangled if they move their arm, and I don't want to have anything else out there that could cause a distraction for them to drop it out of their mouth. So this makes a nice, good transition going towards the bumper. So for her, I'm going to do the same thing. Fetch it up. Good. Put it in her mouth. Good girl. Atta girl. Nice, good hold. That's what we want. Okay? Good. Lots of pets. And then release on deck. Good girl. All right. We've made it through that part. Now this is the same bumper. Just it's the full assembly here. We've got the rope. It's hollow here. Hey, can you sit? Hey, can you sit? Good girl. Sit. So we're going to keep her attention with it, right? So now we're going to do the same thing. Fetch it up. Good. Nice, good hold. Good girl. And dead. Okay, now what we've got to do is where it's going to get a little bit more challenging is when the dog has to start walking with it in her mouth. In this case for Napa. And what you remember, when a dog starts walking, you got to remember it's kind of like tapping their head and rubbing their belly at the same time. And sometimes they forget when they first start doing this, and they may drop it. That's okay. So what we're going to do for Napa, we're going to say fetch it up, help her out. Good girl. Good. Clear her gums. Good. Right, Napa here. Pat. Good girl. Sit. Good. Napa here. Good girl. Sit. This is where this rail system up here is really beneficial because it helps keep them controlled and in the area that you want. Dead. Good girl. All right. So what we just did right there was essentially a delivery to hand. We're just on the table because they're familiar with it. It's the same spot that we've been doing it for the last several weeks. And this is what's going to make the transition to the ground as we do the hold recall drill, another video that we've got that you see. Good job, girl. All right. So this is the bumper. This is what we want. It's really important that with these dogs that you get through that. Now, if you have a dog and if you're going through the phase where they just will not hold it in their mouth and they're really struggling and you're coming up on a month and you're not really getting to this stage, this is when I would start bringing in the force fetch. Force fetch is very similar. We're just applying a little bit of pressure. Napa's been introduced to this, but we didn't have to do this because, naturally I can sit here, hey, fetch up, fetch it up, fetch it up. Good. You see how she grabs it? No pressure. Good dog. Now, one of the things what we're going to do is I'll show you. I'm just going to take my fingers, hold her ear a little bit, and I'm just going to apply a little bit of pressure. Fetch it up. Good. See that? She grabbed it right out. Dead. Good. Sit. Fetch up. Good. So that a little bit of pressure just kind of shows just a little bit of saying, hey, I'm here. I'm in control. You need to get this. Okay? So if I sit here without any pressure, fetch it up. Good. Right? So each dog is different. It's really important that you try to understand your dog and what approach is going to be best for them. A lot more of the calm, laid back ones, typically like a Napa, we don't need the force fetch. We can get exactly what we want. Now, a lot of the more high strung, high drive dogs that are really, really ambitious, those are the types of dogs that we kind of add that little more pressure. Take these tips. Hopefully you can use these with your dog and help get that nice, clean retrieve to hand.